So they say, while the majority of ordinary blacks were disenfranchised, the Boule members, they were doing good. This is historically, okay? Understand that. Boule members live a good life in America. They benefit off the system of racism and white supremacy. And they benefit off of your oppression and my oppression. They benefit from that. Understand? All these ones, Jack and Jill and the Lynx and all these little societies like that, they all tied in. Understand that. Notice that all the ones, they all know each other. They hang with each other. They don't like other black people in. See, the problem that the Boule have with people like us and Tariq and Yvette and Tone and Jason Black and Professor Black Truth and anybody else that's speaking out right now against this is that we're not part of the Boule. We're not part of their class, and they look at us as a threat to destroy them, because right now they don't really have much use anymore, because with the talented 10th mentality, it says you must control the 90%, and they lost control of the 90%. This is why you have Roland Martin, and I got to mention him because he is a Boule member. He told me out his own mouth on Twitter that he's part of the Boule. That's why you see him wearing all this African garb all the time. He's trying to convince you he's black, but we're going to get to that part later, why they do that, okay? So they said that the Archons, which is the male Boule members, and their wives, with 112 chapters, make up the wealthiest group of black men and women on the planet. Now, Archon means demon, but yet that's what they want to be a part of. And they like to keep that hidden. They say, but who does the Boule really serve? Well, it don't serve the black community. Now, it serves racism and white supremacy. And as long as the black Boule member conforms to the rules, the richest will be in abundance, if not come down the hatchet. And they state that black males are also part of the deal. Now, the Masonic Secret Society has a pyramid style like all the rest, about the Masons in that situation. They say the lower ranks are kept from knowing what the upper ranks know. Now, the early 20th century was a period of reconstruction. We put this up on the screen, and you can see this is the Boule members, right? But I want you to notice on the screen, you have two white people, and they're supposed to be part of the black Boule. That's intentional why they're on there. Now, Marcus Garvey, the great Marcus Garvey, the greatest of all time, the father of modern and past Pan-Africanism. He laid down the blueprint, okay? So he had his Back to Africa movement, and it was in full swing. And Garvey represented genuine black leadership. In other words, Marcus Garvey represented that 90%. He represented the streets. He represented the grassroots. Now, W.E.B. Du Bois, the founding member of the New York chapter of the Boule, he stated that the Boule was created to keep the black professional away from Marcus Garvey. See, understand, any person that's trying to take black people out of racism, white supremacy, and the freedom, that is a threat to the black Boule. Understand that. The Joy Reids, and now I'm not saying she's in the black Boule, but usually when you see them professionals, they clicked in somewhere with it, right? Now, they say the remaking of the House Negro was necessary to institute a group of blacks who had a vested interest in protecting the elite white system. And they say shortly after founding of the Boule was also Marcus Garvey's time of Back to Africa movement, when it reached 1 million plus people without television or radio. Do you understand how significant and how popular Marcus Garvey was at that time period? He had no TV, no radio, and yet he was popular. And he had no Twitter, no Facebook, no Instagram, no YouTube, no nothing, no messenger, anything, and yet he was that popular. Now, Du Bois emphasized, according to Steve Coakley, the importance to steal the black professional away from Garvey, because an Afrocentric organization that articulated and captured the black professional would give white people no safe haven in the black community. So the Boule, the remaking of the House Negro, was necessary to build up a group of Negroes who had an investment in protecting the white system and produced by whites having stole this land. This is post-Reconstruction. Now, taking away the articulate Negro, now designed to replace them with organized institutions to keep them away from self-improvement. So we find in the same period as the founding of the Boule, the founding of the 4 male Alpha Phi Alpha, Kappa Alpha Psi, Omega Psi Phi, and Phi Beta Sigma, and the 4 female Alpha Kappa Alpha, Delta Sigma Theta, Zeta, Phi Beta, and Sigma Gamma Rho, college-based fraternities and sororities. We also find them at the NAACP and Urban League. Now, I know some people on this page may be part of that organization. And you may say, man, I'm not no Boule. I just joined the fraternity. I'm not part of any of that. You may not be part of the Boule. You may not be. Not to say that you are, but I'm telling you what was created, why it was created, and why all these fraternities have ties to the Boule. Not to say that you are. You may be in it, but you may not be tied in like that. You may not be willing to do the things that they willing to do to sell out black people to be in it. So I don't want to just indict everybody just in case you in a fraternity, because, you know, some of y'all in these fraternities, y'all get real, you know, bothered, like you're talking about your kids when you mention the fraternities. I'm just saying. So they say now Du Bois is one of the strongest opponents of Marcus Garvey, and he was an instrumental tool in stopping one of the strongest grassroots movements in the century. What was Garvey's plan, right? We all know this. His plan was to take as many Africans from America and start a settlement in the nation of Liberia, and then help the new nation produce and control their own rubber crops and other industries in natural resources, okay? So Marcus Garvey, he stated that if the oil of Africa is good for Rockefeller's interest, if iron is good for Carnegie Trust, then these minerals are good for us. Why should we allow Wall Street and the capitalist group of America and other countries exploit our country when they refuse to give us a fair chance in the countries of our adoption? That's the same thing I talk about today. Is that you got China in Africa, the United States won't get out, Russia want to be in there, everybody want to be in Africa, getting all the resources. Well, what about black Americans? Why aren't we there even making any kind of business? I've talked about this so many times. Marcus Garvey continues to say, why should not Africa give to the world its black Rockefeller, Rothschild, and Henry Ford? He's right. Marcus Garvey understood that we cannot be a people without any kind of power. Wealth brings power, and the wealth is in Africa. Here, you're going to be sabotaged. Look at all the black men that get money. What happens to them in the end a lot of times? It don't end well. Didn't Eddie Griffin say on Vlad TV that they always got to have an asterisk by your name? Because they either got to dirt you up or destroy you on any little thing. That's why when you black men get certain amounts of money, you need to already have your escape plan out of this country, because eventually they may come for you. And when you even get wind of it, you can say, man, I'm out. I'm not going to put up with these people. Now, they said the two house Negroes made a bet that whites would come out on top and give a certain percentage of these greedy Negroes named Boule members the wealth they stole from Africa, right? So they say what's deep is that they didn't believe in African self-reliance and preferred to have whites give them table scraps instead of making the whole pie. Now, you have to understand the Boule represents the weakest element of black people. Understand that. They are the Stephen of Django Unchained. You understand? That's them. They will protect the master. They will do everything they can. They'll fight with other black people and also deceive other black people. Now, as Steve Coakley put it, he said it took a certain type of, well, he said N-word to form an organization like this. He said, I mean, we just got our, you know what, kicked during Reconstruction. Africa was divided before our very eyes with the Berlin Conference, most of you who know about that. And he said, and this was 50 years before Rosa Parks. Now, he said, the question is, why were these black devils like this? That's what he said. He said, the answer may lie in the fact that the Boule is a Greek organization. And I said that on Twitter. They got mad at me. I said, why you got black people joining the Greek organizations? You can't make an African organization or even a black American organization, because Greek, that's, you know, white folks. What's up with that? Oh, they say, oh, he's super woke. Oh, boy, they was mad at me when I made that comment on Twitter. So continue, he said it was about selling out brothers and sisters for power and money. Yes, that's what the Boule is about. They do not want to see us come up. See all this talk about ADOS and black folks breaking away from the Democratic Party. Oh no, that's bothering the Boule because they are the house Negroes, every last one of them. Now I say the majority are black lawyers, doctors, engineers, and accountants were members of the secret club. Now I'm not saying all black lawyers and accountants